c'est Salomé qui est déjà de la tranche, donc je vous fais signe quand on peut commencer.
Ils sont allumés déjà? Non.
Tout est allumé.
C'est parfait. Ouais, c'est allumé. Ouais. Bah non, c'est toi qui fais les slides. Je sais pas. Tu les passes? Je peux si tu veux. J'ai soif. Good morning, everyone.
Hello, welcome to Paris.
Seems like it was a fun night last night. Not a lot of you here, but that's cool. We'll get warmed up together. My name is Mo. I head community and education at Ledger.
And my name is Noé, and I'm product marketing manager at Ledger.
So it's pretty cool that it's going to be cozy today because we'll go through a variety of different things together to level up your security game. We'll go through some theory, but there are a couple of interesting things in this presentation. One of them is that you'll be able to actually prove your knowledge after that presentation through Ledger Quest and gain a proof of knowledge NFT, which is a proof of your knowledge, an on-chain proof of your knowledge, kind of like a digital certification. And on top of that, Noe here will give you a demo of one of our newest products, which is called Ledger Extension.
Yes. And today we'll talk about NFTs, scams, different types of wallets, how to avoid the different threats you will face in the NFT ecosystem, etc.
Cool. So before we kick it off, actually, as you've seen on the first slide, this presentation is designed by Humankind and Pablo Stanley. And we'll be utilizing the different characters of the presentation to go together on a journey in NFT land. So Maya here will be taking us through her journey, and we'll learn a lot with her. But anyway, I think it's not really a surprise that the whole NFT craze provided a creative renaissance for artists and creators with digital ownership. We saw like a huge emergence of creators coming on chain, doing their projects, and that really attracted a variety of different cohorts that weren't really doing much on the blockchain before then. And that's great. We have 30 million wallets onboarded, more than 24 billion worth of NFTs sold, new art mediums and genres. It's all beautiful, but the thing is that with self-custody, we often say that with big freedom comes big responsibility. If you become the sole owner of your assets, you're also the sole person responsible for the security of your assets. And that is obviously something that is quite novel for a lot of people in the space. It takes a lot of time. There's a steep learning curve in order to understand exactly how to best secure your assets, your keys, and transact on the blockchain. And in the meantime, it's a little bit sad to say, but there are a lot of scammers and hackers in the space that are leveraging on the fact that a lot of new entrants are coming in. And the screenshot behind me is one amongst many examples that we've seen in the past few years where you see someone either getting hacked or scammed and losing very valuable asset. So today, we're going to try and put an end to this, at least for the people in this room. So we'll start. So as you see, Maya's going on a journey in NFT land, and we'll go through the different steps with her. So we'll learn the basics in order to kind of understand what are the different threats and how to identify them. And then we'll push it even a little bit further with IRL examples of these scams so that all of you here can become NFT Jedis. So the basics. Not your keys, not your coins. Probably something that you've heard before. If you haven't, please note it down because this is really very, very important. If you start self-custodying your assets, you go to the blockchain. And the blockchain is actually a bank that is open 24/7. It does not discriminate. It doesn't care where you're coming from or where you live. The only thing that it needs is for you to be able to prove that you are the owner of the account that you've created. So when you create an account, you get a set of public keys and a set of private keys. Your public account is kind of like your email address. Anyone can send you assets to that public account. You can share it with, whoever you want to be receiving assets from. Whereas your private keys, this is mainly like, you know, the master key that you want to be keeping safe, because without it, you will not be able to prove to the blockchain that you are you. So your private key is mainly your key to your on-chain identity and assets.
And I think something really important to understand is that your assets, your crypto, your NFT will always stay on the blockchain, and that what you will really have in your wallet is this private key.
Correct. So basically what we were saying, your private key is you. That's the single most important piece of data that you need to be protecting. Now that we understand that, the question is, how do you protect your private key? And there are actually a variety of different ways through which you could protect the private key. All of them are wallets. And we'll go through the three different types of wallets that you might see in the space. All of them have different characteristics and elements that we'll kind of describe. So we'll start with exchange wallets. With an exchange account, it's probably where most of our user journey started. You create an account on either Binance and Coinbase, you transfer some fiat, and you buy some crypto. This is obviously very easy to use, so it's a great stepping stone into the space. However, one important thing to note is that when you do create an account on an exchange, you don't own the private key, because the exchange custodies your assets for you. It's a custodial solution, which means that in terms of ownership, your ownership is super reduced. You are actually trusting the exchange to be able to provide you access to your assets when you ask them to. And we've seen a couple of incidents this year, FTX. I don't know if you kind of remember what happened there, but we probably do. And in terms of security, obviously exchanges try and make the best out of their security solutions, but the fact that you don't custody your assets is still a huge security risk.
And maybe just a point on this is like, at the end, it's not really a wallet, because the wallet is an interface designed to interact with the blockchain. And when you are using an account on an exchange, at the end, you're interacting with the exchange, and it's the exchange that is interacting with the blockchain. So you have a third party in the middle. And this is why we call it more like an exchange account and not a wallet here.
And if you do decide to get outside of the realms of the exchange to start exploring Web3, buying NFTs, connecting to different D-apps, your next step would be to set up a software wallet. And software wallets are great. They give you a lot of ownership. They're very easy to use, but they have one single problem, is that they are actually running on a device that's connected to the internet. So remember when we said that the private key is the single most important piece of data that you need to be protecting? Your internet-connected device is a device that was designed for the Internet of Information, which means that it's a device that's designed to share information. That's why you can log into Facebook with Google, and that's why you can log into Uber with Facebook, and everything is connected to one another. Information is flowing within your device. So trying to secure a secret on an internet-connected device that is designed to share information is not really the best idea. Because at the end of the day, you can easily download malware. Malware can tamper with whatever you're seeing on your device, and you can end up getting your wallet completely drained. So Web 2 hardware cannot protect Web 3 value. So how do we protect Web 3 value? It's with Web 3 hardware. What we call Web 3 hardware is ledger wallets, obviously, and a lot of different hardwares in the space. The idea behind this is that the private keys are generated on a device that is disconnected from the internet, secured on what we call a secure element chip, which is the same type of chips that you see in your biometric passports or credit cards. The only way for you to be able to verify a transaction and then validate it is through the screen of the ledger. We could go to the next slide. So you actually verify every single transaction that is initiated using your laptop or mobile phone. You verify the information on the screen, and then you have to physically verify it with the two buttons. And that actually gives the indication to the blockchain that's the private keys that were actually utilized to sign this transaction, and then transmit it to the blockchain afterwards.
Okay, so as Mo said, when you own crypto, you can be your own bank. And what is cool with crypto is that you can create as many bank accounts as you want. So when you initialize your device, you can have multiple Bitcoin accounts, multiple Ethereum accounts, multiple Tezos accounts. Last week I was discussing with a Ledger users that has more than 100 Bitcoin accounts. So you can really have a lot of accounts, and it's useful because you can segregate your assets. So for example, if some of you already bought some Bitcoin NFTs, for this you have to create a specific Bitcoin account, and Mo will talk about the segregation of assets later. And so for each of these accounts, you will have a pair of keys. You will have a private key and a public key. And as Mo said, these private keys are secret. So imagine if you had to manage all these private keys at the same time, each of them, it will be a nightmare. But what is cool is that you can manage all these private keys of all your accounts with a single device. And this is possible thanks to the recovery phrase that you can see on the left, which is also called a seed phrase. And it's a list of 12, 18, or 24 words that will be generated when you initialize your device. And it will work like a master key for all your private key. So more concretely, you will initialize your device. It will generate the list of 24 words, your recovery phrase, and then all the accounts you will create, all your private keys, will derive from this recovery phrase. It's like an umbrella to manage all your private keys. So here we put an example of what private keys looks like. So as you can see, it's super complex. It's a list of numbers. And imagine if you have to copy or write it down on a piece of paper, it will be, I mean, you could easily make mistakes. And here you have a recovery phrase, so it's easy to read for a human being. So you can understand why we created the system of recovery phrase rather than using the private keys system. And so what is important is that we do not want to lock you in. So this list of 24 words is a standard in the industry that is shared by all different wallets. So basically, if Ledger does not exist in the future, for example, you will be able to take the list of 24 words and to put it in another wallet, and you will be able to manage your funds. So something important to remember is that the recovery phase will be generated by the device itself. Sometimes you have people, when you onboard them with Ledger, they think that they have to find the 24 words by themselves. And they think about it before initializing the device. But at the end, it's the device that will generate the recovery phrase. It will be generated inside the secure element of the ledger, and it will be randomly generated to make sure that hackers cannot guess it. You should never take a picture of it. You should never share it with anyone, because if it's exposed on the internet, someone could take it and then steal your funds. And you should never write it on your computer or your smartphone. And it's an emergency recovery phrase, meaning that you use it only in emergency case when you need to initialize a new device, for example. And on the other side, you have the PIN code that you will use on a daily basis to unlock your device. And it will be chosen by you, contrary to the recovery phrase, during the initialization. And Mo will talk about it later, because it's super important in the security model of the hardware wallet to have this PIN code to make sure that if you lose your wallet, for example, you're safe, your funds are safe. You have the possibility to set up a digit code of 4 or 8 digit codes. So it's better to have 8-digit code, of course, and you should never share it with anyone. We often have the question of why are you not using a biometric system to unlock the device? But at the end, a PIN code is more secure because it's a secret, basically. You have it in your mind. Your fingerprint or your face is public, and you cannot change it. So it's better at the end to have a PIN code. And so now that we know exactly how the hardware wallet is working, the question is, how do you navigate the Web3 space with your hardware wallet? And the answer is by connecting it to software, to have software in the middle. So today, when you're using your hardware wallet, most of the time you will connect it to a software wallet, like Phantom, MetaMask, etc. And then you will connect the software wallet to NFT marketplace or DeFi apps. For that, you will import your account in the software wallet. So we are working on a daily basis with all these software wallets to make sure that their product is compatible with Ledger. So basically, you will import your Ledger account in the software wallet, but don't worry, the private keys will still stay in the hardware wallet. It's just a way to display your account and to make it sure that it's easy for you to navigate Web3. And today, we wanted to share with you the new product we are launching in a few days, which is the Ledger extension. So it's a browser extension, and it will help you to connect to dApps and to NFT marketplace easily. So basically, with the Ledger extension, you will be able, through your Web3 browser, to connect directly your Ledger Nano to NFT marketplaces. And on top of that, on top of the connectivity part, we are also adding security features so that we make sure that you avoid scams and hacks.
Yeah, and I think what we want to add here is that, like, at the end of the day, Ledger is really considered to be an ecosystem and a platform that works with a variety of different other middlewares, because what's in the middle here, like, there's software wallets, but there are also interfaces that enable you to connect to different DApps. The reason why we're actually launching the Ledger extension is mainly to have full agency over the overall journey from beginning to end, because we do work with the other middlewares to provide additional security features. We're getting a little bit more into what is actually the added value of having agency over the overall journey, and that's mainly because we want to be enabling the user to be able to verify what they're signing using the smart contracts in a way that's humanly readable. Today, most of us actually end up blind signing, and we'll get a little bit more into what blind signing is. But when you're connecting to different DApps, you actually interact with smart contracts that have hex data, but that hex data is not translated to you in a human readable way. So it's like you're signing an insurance contract that only has numbers. You don't understand anything that you're signing. So even if you are using a hardware wallet, you'll end up signing something that you don't understand, which could lead you to lose your assets. So us actually adding that layer is because we want to be working on designing the plugins that enable you to actually verify the smart contracts hex data into human readable language that we all would understand.
Yes, as we are designing from scratch, we can add all the features we want, and this is why we decided to do that. But as Mo said, the idea is not to lock you in with this. The idea is to work with the whole ecosystem, so you have the choice, basically. And so what we are doing is that we are implementing Ledger buttons on main dApps so that people can easily connect their Ledger Nano to the dApps and the NFT marketplaces. And we'll talk about the security features later in the presentation.
Okay, so now we got the basics. That's kind of the easiest part. And we'll get into the threads, but before we do that, how many of you here self-custody your assets? Okay, good number. For those of you who self-custody your assets, how many of you faced a scam or a hack or know someone who got hacked or scammed? Okay, basically 100% of the people that raised their hands. So we'll get into, some of these threats you might recognize. We'll see the categories of threats first, and then when we move to the Jedi part, we'll see how these threats actually come to life in the Web3 ecosystem. So we'll see how, concrete examples of scams and hacks. So threats. First threat is virus and hackers, so basically malware. This is something that is actually mostly affecting software wallets that are running on internet-connected devices. If you do own a hardware wallet, a ledger, and your keys are secured on the ledger in an offline environment, you are 100% protected from hacks and malware. Because the malware is, downloaded from the internet, it could come and it could affect your internet-connected device, but since your keys are not on your internet-connected device, you will still have to validate any transaction that is initiated on the mobile phone or the laptop using your ledger, which means that this is not something that will be affecting you if you have a hardware wallet. So moving on, physical loss. This is also something that is included like in the security module of the Ledger device. Your private keys are secured on the Ledger, However, your ledger is protected by the PIN code, as Noe explained. This is something that you choose. We highly recommend you choose an 8 digits PIN code. You could use a 4 digits one, but 8 digits is so much better in terms of security. And if someone does find your ledger and they try to input the PIN code 3 times in a row incorrectly, your device factory resets, which means that it will forget all the data that's on it. It's a little bit unfortunate. You might use your ledger, and the person who stole it will end up be able to reinitialize it and use it themselves. But the good news is that your private keys are safe and the device is factory reset.
So now let's talk about the third threat, getting scammed. So phishing is the most common threat in the ecosystem. We often heard people saying I've been hacked, but most of the time they have been phished because they confirm a transaction that send their NFTs to someone. So what is phishing? It's like in the traditional financial space, basically. It's when someone is sending you a message pretending to be a famous company or project in order to induce you to reveal a personal information. So most of the time here it's your 24 words, because what they are doing is that they will take your 24 words and they will put it in a wallet. We saw that you can use the 24 words and copy a wallet by putting it in another wallet. So they will do that, and then they will send the funds to another wallet. So most of the time what you will have is an email, for example, that will be sent to you. They will say you need to urgently update your wallet if you don't want to lose your funds. And the first step to do that, it will be a form, and they will ask you to put your 24 words, and then they have your 24 words and they can drain your wallet.
A good thing to note here, like the transition between hacks and scams, is Ledger can protect you from a hack, but it can protect you from making a mistake, which is getting scammed. What we're trying to do is, obviously we'll be talking about extension, which will provide you additional information before you actually validate the transaction. So we're trying to provide you with all the information that you will need in order to make the right decision. Obviously, that is something that we're working on in the user journey itself, but we do a lot when it comes to education. One of them is being this workshop, but we'll talk a little bit more also about how you can get more educated around these different types of scams that you will be facing in this space. So the phishing scam was kind of the main one. For the past couple of years, you would be getting a message or an email saying, hey, your Ledger account got compromised. You need to act fast. You need to send us your 24 words. That's the only way we'll be able to restore your account for you. The number one rule is to always think about the fact that your 24 words only belong on the Ledger device. So the only way you actually need to be using those 24 words is if you buy a second Ledger at some point and you want to restore your keys in it. Your 24 words should never be entered on any internet-connected device, and they should never be given to anyone. They're only for you.
And phishing is the most common threat because it's cheap. You can easily scale it. You send an email to 1,000 of people at the same time. And on the contrary, hacking a device is super complicated. It costs money, you need equipment, you need skills. So that's why phishing is the most common threat today in the ecosystem. Another threat is blind signing. So blind signing is the act of signing a smart contract transaction without being able to understand the underlying data and its potential consequences. So to have a metaphor, it's like signing a contract, a legal contract, without knowing what is in the contract, basically. So it's super dangerous. And why do we have blind signing? It's because smart contracts are complex, and the software that sends information from the smart contract to your device is not capable of display the information in a human readable way. So at the end, what you will have is a transaction you have to sign, but you don't know what you're signing, what you're confirming. So on Ledger devices, you have this type of warning. We say blind signing. So when you have this warning, you should really trust the app you are interacting with. And a typical scam will be a message like you can have on Discord saying there is a free mint, or I don't know, something like that. You click on it, you think you are minting something, you think that the transaction is a mint, but what you don't know, because it's blind signing, is that the transaction is a send of all your NFTs to a particular wallet. You don't know, you click, you confirm, and then you discover that it was not a mint, but it was a cent of all your NFT to another wallet, for example, and you lose everything.
That's mainly the common way people get scammed in the space today. Fortunately, for the past couple of years, we've been able to collectively educate the ecosystem around the fact that you should not share 24 words. So now the scammers are getting a little bit smarter. They know that everyone's on the lookout for the most recent drop or the alpha that no one else knows of. So you end up like, scrolling on Twitter, you see promoted posts where you have, thousands of comments and likes. You say, hey, this must be legit. I'm going to click on this. I want to be minting it first. And then the problem is that you'll end up signing a malicious transaction that will drain your wallet.
And so blind signing is often combined with phishing. The first step is phishing, and then they force you to blind sign a transaction. And this is exactly what happened to Kevin Rose. You probably heard about his story when he lost a lot of NFTs. And so blind signing is the reason why we created Ledger Live, which is the application that is working with our hardware wallets. So basically, in Ledger Live, you can have a lot. You have access to a lot of different dApps, like Kiln for staking, like Zerion, like Comet if you want to play. And what we ask to the partners when they want to integrate their service in Ledger Live, because it's an open source platform, so everyone can integrate their services. We ask them to create a plugin that you will install on your hardware wallet when you want to test or use the application, and it will decrypt and translate the detail of the smart contract in a human readable way. So everything, all transaction you will sign on Ledger Live will be a clear sign. So I put an example here. So if you're outside of Ledger Live, it's for the same, I took the example of the same dApp, so it's with Paraswap, if you want to exchange some crypto for another. So as you can see, if you're signing outside of Ledger Live on Paraswap, you will have the blind signing warning. But if you are doing it inside Ledger Live, you will have the information of what is the dApp, so here Paraswap, what is the type of action, it's a swap, what are you sending, the exact amount, and then on the other screens you will see what you're exactly receiving, etc. So we make sure that you know what you're signing because it's crucial in the ecosystem. And now that we look at the threats, let's see how it applies in the real life.
Let's go.
So pretty obvious, but all scams, most of the scams starts on the social networks. So we have a lot of fake, for example, account of Ledger employees that will DM you, trying to send you phishing links, etc. So how to spot them? Most of the time, this account only do retweet. Basically, you can check the dates also. If they have been created 2 days ago, it's probably a scam. They also add some letters in the handle.
We'll also never DM you out of nowhere. Like it doesn't really make sense. Most of the time, like you'd have to create a support ticket, and someone will get back to you. If someone, James Camilo, who probably looks like a very nice gentleman but doesn't work at Ledger, he, probably would never be DMing you if he did work at Ledger.
And we have a team at Ledger dedicated to shut down this kind of accounts. And for example, yesterday I found one that was smart. The guy was saying it was a fake Ledger support account, and he was saying, I will never DM you first, DM me first.
Okay. He kind of listened to some of the workshops.
Another type of a threat scam, it's a misleading offer. So basically, you imagine you have a Bored Ape at, that is worth 10 ETH, and you will receive an offer of 10 DAI, which means $10. So if you accept it, you will sell your NFT for nothing, basically.
That was really something that was very, kind of common during the bull market. Because you'd be receiving tons of offers every day. You get an email and you think like someone's giving you an offer for 30 ETH for your Bored Ape that is worth 20 ETH. And if you're using a software wallet only solution, it's actually one click. You just need to click once and validate it, and then it's gone. So a lot of people are actually falling for these because they'd be getting like tons of offers in their inbox, and out of a moment of euphoria, you think you're making 10 ETH, but actually you're selling your Bored Ape for $30.
Another one is fake collections. So now you have the possibility to see if the collection is verified, but a few months ago it was sometimes hard to distinguish the two. But you can still check the number of owners, the repartition of the collection, and also the volume traded. If there is a low volume, it means that it's probably a fake collection. And also now you have a lot of fake collection on Ethereum, but before it was also mainly on Polygon because it's cheap. So it was also another way to spot a scam.
One thing I'd say here is that usually really happens during the drop. So if you're not on the allow list, you want to go on secondary and you want to buy the NFT first because you want to make sure that you're part of the first wave of people that actually own that collection. And the biggest problem is that during the drop, some people are on the allow list, they buy and then they list, but it's the beginning. So the volume of the collection is not so high because not a lot of transactions happened within that collection. So one tip there is don't be first, wait a little bit, don't FOMO in, and you'll be able to distinguish both collections because the legitimate ones will end up having a much higher volume, which is on the right-hand side, so the volume traded, how many people exchanged NFTs within that collection. And the second one is the number of owners. So the fake collections don't have a lot of owners. Obviously, some people fall for these scams, but the majority of people don't, which is a good news. So wait, and you'll be able to identify which one is the right one. Address poisoning. This one is actually quite an ancient one. It was, a scam that was first done on Bitcoin, but then it started coming back on Ethereum this year, and we wanted to highlight it. It's pretty straightforward. Scammers actually send just amount of tokens to your address, and they create an address that is very similar to one of your other addresses. So it's quite technical here, but please try to follow, and if it's not clear, tell me that it's not, and I'll try to explain it another way. But the idea is that a scammer would be able to identify that you have multiple different accounts. They see that you're exchanging tokens between your account A and your account B. So they will try to use a similar address to your account B and send you a little bit of tokens, so like sats or a very little amount of ETH, to have their address included in your logbook of accounts. So that if we go to the second slide, at some point you get lazy and you don't want to be checking the full address of your account B. You copy paste one of the addresses in your logbook by just looking at the first 4 letters of the address or 4 numbers, and you end up actually copying the scammer's address, and whatever assets you think you would be sending to your second account would end up being sent over to the scammer's account. So this one is pretty easy to avoid. Just never copy paste without actually verifying the full account. When I say copy paste from your logbook, you can obviously go to your second address and copy it from there. So just make sure that you're always taking your time, always verifying the full address, because unfortunately scammers are quite smart and they'll try to put some traps where you would be feeling more comfortable and doing it like in a very seamless way. So another one is phishing links. This one actually is quite smart. The scammers, they launch collections and then they start actually putting offers on their old collections for a very high price. So you think that the collection is actually valuable and that people want to be buying it for X amount. So you'd be like, okay, I'm going to go and click on the website of the collection to see if actually the drop is still ongoing, because it seems like the mint price is at 0.1 ETH and people are in the secondary market are putting offers for 2 ETH. So if I end up going to the website and buying that NFT for 0.1 ETH, I'm going to be making a 1.9 ETH profit in a minute. So the thing is that obviously all of these offers are fake. They're kind of leading you to go to that platform to try to mint the drop, and you'll end up blind signing a malicious transaction that kind of takes some of your valuable assets away. So for smart contract allowances, if you do end up blind signing at some point, because we have to be honest with ourselves, clear signing is in development, but clear signing is not an industry standard yet. So you will have to end up blind signing from time to time. When you are blind signing, make sure that you know the smart contract functions. If you think you are minting an NFT and you see that message here, which says set approval for all, meaning give permission to all of your Bored Apes, or give permission to all of your whichever NFT you have in your wallet, you're not actually minting an NFT, you're providing kind of an allowance, an approval to a given smart contract and providing it with the ability to have agency over the assets that are part of this collection. So send ETH, send X NFT to set approval for all. All of these are smart contract functions, and you can read some of these functions at the top of your MetaMask or any other middleware's transactions. So coming back, Noe was talking a little bit about how it happened with Kevin Rose. How many of you know Kevin Rose and know what happened with him in the past couple of months? Okay, cool. Some people. I'll do a quick context. Kevin Rose is one of the biggest, I would say, NFT collectors in the space. He had a Vault wallet, so the wallet where his most valuable NFTs are actually stored in it. Bored Apes, Squiggles, a very valuable, art blocks, Fidenzas, and so on. And he used this wallet to list some of these NFTs on OpenSea because he didn't really want to be transferring those NFTs to another wallet to list from it. So while listing on OpenSea, he was actually providing OpenSea with the smart contract allowances that we had in the previous slide. So he was giving OpenSea's platform the permission to take some of the assets in his wallet and to list it in order for these assets to be sold to other people on the market, which is what Kevin wanted. So Kevin had a lot of allowances given to the Seaport protocol, which is what OpenSea is using, on a variety of different valuable collections that he had. The problem is that while these allowances were given and some of these assets were sold, he did not revoke these allowances. So those permissions were given to the protocol. And Kevin, unfortunately, ended up being phished, ended up on a fake drop website like the one that we mentioned, or similar to the one that we mentioned, and signed one transaction that utilized the fact that he had a variety of different allowances that were given to drain all of the assets in his wallet. So this is really something that we need to be very careful about, which is asset segregation is very important, meaning that if you are actually having a vault account that has very valuable NFTs, you should avoid listing the NFTs directly from that vault account. The wallet hygiene, the security hygiene in the space would actually require you to transfer your NFT to another wallet and then list it from there. If you do end up listing your NFT from your vault, you give the allowance to the platform. After that NFT is sold, go to revoke.cash, revoke the smart contract permission that you gave, so that if you end up in a situation where you're blind sign, your assets won't actually be taken away from you, because you would have to blind sign multiple times in a row in order to first give the permission and then approve the actual transaction itself.
And so avoiding scam is exactly the reason why we are launching the new Ledger extension pretty soon. And so the idea is to help you navigate Web3 securely. And as Mo says, a hardware wallet today protects your private keys. It's super hard to hack a wallet. However, you can still do human mistakes. You can still sign a transaction and confirming a scam transaction with your private keys. So we built this browser extension that will be available on desktop and on mobile, and that is based on two main features. The first one is Web3 checks. So we'll warn you if the smart contract is suspicious before you sign a transaction. And the second feature is what we call wallet preview, so that you will know exactly what you're signing. You will see what will enter or leave your wallet before you sign the transaction. Here are some examples of the Web3 checks we will do. So we'll check if the blacklist. We'll check the age of the contract. So if the contract, the smart contract you are interacting with, has been created 2 days ago, it's probably a scam. If it's an old collection, an old NFT you want to buy, you can also check if it's the first interaction with this smart contract. So if you, in the past, you already bought an NFT from this collection, and when you're about to buy a second one, the Ledger extension say it's the first interaction with this smart contract, it's probably because you're about to sign a transaction and interact with a fake, a scam. We also check the type of addresses and also if you're about to transfer all your NFTs. And regarding the wallet preview feature, to know exactly what you will sign and what will enter or leave your wallet before signing the transaction. So as you can see, if you're buying an NFT, for example, you will see precisely that you have Ethereum leaving your wallet, that you have an NFT that is coming in. We have warning also if you are giving permission to adapt to access your collection. And finally, we are putting in place and we are working on offline sell orders. So this is what Mo mentioned, what's happening with Seaport. So you can sign transaction offline and list an NFT in 2 seconds and lose it if you're signing a scam transaction. And so this is the example of Kevin Vos. What will happen if he had used the Ledger extension? So prior to the scam, he would have seen that OpenSea is able to transfer every NFT, but it will not have been a red flag because OpenSea is a trusted application. He would have seen that he was giving permission to OpenSea to access his collection. And the day of the scam, that was a few months or weeks later, he would have seen that the fake mint was on a website that is blacklisted. And also, he would have seen before signing the transaction that drained his wallet, that it was about to sell all his NFTs for zero Ethereum, basically. And so the Ledger extension is in private beta right now. So it's working on TestFlight. So TestFlight is the app store for beta app. So for now, it's only on Safari, on iOS and Mac. But we are working on having it on Chrome pretty soon, in April, for example, let's say. And yeah, it works with Bluetooth, via Bluetooth with your Ledger Nano X, on desktop and on mobile. And it will arrive soon on Chrome, but also all Chromium-based browsers, so Brave, etc.
Okay, cool. So before we wrap it up and open it up for questions, we'll go over some of the best practices that we saw together. You can go to the next slide, Noe, please. Thank you. So about the 24 words, as we said, 24 words are only for you. Never put them online. Never put them in your notes. Don't send them to a friend. Don't take a picture of it. Try to note it in an obviously offline environment, but if it's waterproof or fireproof, it's even better. If you do have a dog at home and you let it on your table, it might end up getting eaten. So try to put it somewhere safe and away. And fireproof and waterproof is also very highly recommended. You can buy some of these crypto steals or black photos on Ledger's website. They're both partner products that work really well. And then another thing that we talked about today is asset segregation. So as Noe was talking about at the beginning of the presentation, one key can actually generate hundreds of different accounts. The account's security is, each account security is actually independent from the other accounts. So the idea is that if you end up signing a transaction using account A and that transaction ends up being malicious, the assets in account B will not be affected by that transaction that was signed using account A. The only way for you to lose all of the assets in all of your accounts is if you lose the seed phrase. So keep the seed phrase safe and then segregate your assets amongst the different accounts. Have a vault account that you never use to sign anything on the blockchain. This is a cold account. You only send valuable NFTs to that account. You can have some sort of a warm account that you use to sign. For instance, if you own an ape and you want to stake your ape coin, you'll still have to sign transactions. You would be using it to sign on very trusted platforms and be very careful with what you're signing. And then you could have what we call a degen wallet, a YOLO wallet, a burner wallet, call it whatever you may call it. But at the end of the day, this wallet is usually loaded with a little bit of ETH to cover for gas fees. And this is the one you go and go on the adventure with if you want to be minting a new job that you've never heard of, or you want to be exploring a new platform that is just popping up and you've never actually heard of it. You can go and explore it with that third degen account. And last but not least, beware when signing messages on unverified websites. If you do end up giving an allowance to a certain smart contract using an account that has a lot of valuable assets, please, please, please go to revoke.cash. If you have never actually done it, you can go on today and you can see the number of allowances that you've given to smart contracts. If you have never done it, it might be a little bit surprising because you would be able to see the number of smart contracts that actually have access to your assets. So revoke those allowances if you're not planning on selling any of the assets that are within that account. And yeah, last thing is Etherscan is your eyes and ears. If you're able to read a little bit of Etherscan, you will be able to gain a lot of insights from the actual smart contract, if it's validated, is the source code actually verified or not, the number of transactions on the smart contract, the smart contract address, and then if you go to the next slide, the number of holders and the distribution. This is also important to look at. You want to understand how many people actually own the asset that you're actually going to buy. And out of the people that own them, how many of them have a lot of supply, a big percentage of the supply? Most of the time, this has a variety of different risks. Obviously, here for CoolCat, the number one holder has 3% of the collection, not risky. But if you end up buying an NFT that has one holder that owns 50% of the supply, you should probably be asking yourselves a couple of questions. So stay safe in NFT land. And if you want to test your knowledge, because for those of you who were here at the beginning, we kind of explained a little bit that you would be able to test your knowledge after that workshop and get a proof of knowledge NFT via Ledger Quest. Again, thank you for Pablo Stanley and Marianne from Humankind. They designed the whole presentation using their IP, and they also made us the honor of designing the actual proof of knowledge design itself. You can see the beautiful Tour Eiffel and different characters and Ledger as a hammer. You can keep it as an on-chain certification, but it also has a variety of different perks that I wouldn't be able to tell you about right now. It's a non-transferable NFT. You can't speculate about it. It's just an on-chain certification, but it will provide you with future utility. Thank you so much, everyone. And I think we have about 5 minutes for questions. Cool. Yeah, please, I'll give you my mic. I think it's... It is, yeah. It's non-transferable.
I was just wondering, I'm going to assume no Ledger employee has lost a catastrophic amount of money or assets. But say you had a family member who got robbed, what would you as a community, as a team do to go start hunting that person down? Because somebody I love very much lost a lot of art they love very much. And we're hunting them, and it's going well. But I just feel like you guys could take it to a whole different fucking level. And I also think that would be a great service, the Ledger bounty hunting service. Like if these NFTs are worth $1 million, I'd be willing to pay $300,000 to get them back.
I totally understand that. So first of all, very sorry for your friend. I think that's, something that we see in the ecosystem, and also a lot of people at Ledger, with the scams and everything, it would be kind of very naive to think that no one at Ledger never got scammed. Sorry? You want a Mandalorian? we can't really do that, but what we can do is that what we're trying to do here is that with the Web3 checks, what Noé was explaining, we're working with a variety of different partners that do chain analysis. And
the biggest thing is, how does a person who feels they've been robbed communicate to the exchanges that they've been robbed? I feel like it's okay if you're Kevin Rose and you've got a big Twitter presence, but my friend is not willing to publicly announce that they got robbed. So it's a very privately painful experience,
yes,
which will keep them from ever using our technology ever again.
Absolutely. So I think what we're trying to do here today is that there are different legal processes depending on where you live. So if you're able to actually go to a company like Chain Analysis and do some chain analysis behind the address that actually scammed your friend or hacked your friend, you should file a police report. And what some people would say, probably no one will be able to catch that hacker or scammer. But trust me, some people are actually getting caught for scams that they committed in 2015. Why? Because the blockchain is actually an open ledger. you can't hide on the blockchain. Maybe today we don't have softwares that enable us to actually track specifically, because there's a huge amount of data that you need to go through to understand where this money is going, where it's flowing, if it went through Tornado Cash, which exchange did it end up on. But the interesting bit here is that any single person that ends up hacking or scamming someone will go to fiat at some point or another. So they will have to go through an exchange. If you end up filing a police report and you do the chain analysis, maybe the person will not get caught next week, but in a few years, or maybe even less, maybe you'll get lucky. So I think following the procedure, doing the chain analysis, filing a police report, signaling the addresses to the marketplaces and to the if you're actually doing it for your own company. But if it's something that you actually want to be doing it for your friend, there's also possibility for you to be able to reach out to Ledger's team, and we can help out if that was if your friend was scammed when they had their ledgers on. So we can help out with that procedure. But I'm just explaining the overall kind of best practice would be to do that. And if you need guidance on that, there's obviously the Ledger team. If you can reach out to us on either Twitter or the Ledger customer support, and we can help guide you throughout the different steps. Thanks for your question.
Hi, I completely understand the idea of having this Ledger extension on desktop, but could you explain a little bit how does the customer journey look like for mobile devices? I don't understand it, to be honest.
So you will download it, install it in
Is it
Safari.
an app or is it?
So it's the way it's working, because it's on Safari. It's the dummy app you install. You will download on your phone through the App Store, and then it will install the extension in Safari, because on Safari mobile you can have a browser extension, and then you will browse the Web3. You will go on OpenSea.io, for example, and when you will connect your wallet, it will open automatically and prompt the Ledger extension.
Okay, and if I have an Android device?
So on Android, it will not be supported on the mobile, but you can use it on desktop.
Okay.
And because there is no Safari on Android, and there is no Chrome extension on mobile as well.
Yeah, but what about Mozilla Firefox?
So
I
we
think
are
they have it.
Yeah, so these are brothers we are exploring, but in a second part. For now, we are focusing on Safari and then Chrome, because we did some tests with user, and Chrome is really like something they want to use. So we'll focus on this one for the first months. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, to ask something related to the past question, can you emulate the extension on Kiwi browser on Android?
Sorry, can you repeat?
Can you emulate the extension on Kiwi browser on Android?
If you go to the Ledger booth this afternoon, Noe will be there, and you can actually go through full demo with him on desktop and on mobile. You'll be able to see exactly how it works. I use it on a daily basis, so I have the test light for the beta testing, and it actually works really fine. Like if you have your Ledger with you, you just connect it with Bluetooth to the mobile app. You initiate your transaction, then you have to physically verify it. But Noe will happily take you through the different steps to the Ledger at the Ledger booth this afternoon.
Knowing that for now it's only working with Ledger Nano X because it's working via Bluetooth. But in the future, this year, we'll have also the support for Ledger Nano S Plus with a cable, and we have the support of Stacks as well. So with Ledger Stacks, you'll have the nice screen plus the Ledger extension, so you have a nice user experience.
Yes, thank you for the new extensions. Do you use or do you recommend using delegate.cache, which could be a helpful way to interact with our most valuable assets for airdrops or things like that?
So delegate.cache is definitely something that has a lot of utility in today's market where people have to be blind signing a lot. I would say that Ledger's stance is working a lot on enabling you to see what you're signing, verifying it through the browser extension through Ledger Live, in order for you to have full agency over your own accounts in a way that you would understand without having to delegate your trust or the trust of the kind of the transaction to a third party. Obviously, we did like at Ledger some studies on delegate.cash. We think it actually works fine. There were never any issues with it. But our stance is that we don't want you to be trusting a third party. We want you to be able to make the decision for yourself based on the information that you have. So that's kind of our stance on it. Okay, no more questions? Cool. We're pretty tight on time, but thank you so much for being here. And please, come to us at the Ledger booth. We'll have a few demos, and we're happy to answer any questions there. Thank you.